What's going on, everyone? So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Miami Heat end up doing this upcoming offseason. There's some talks about them kind of pushing whatever little chips that they have in, try to upgrade this roster and end up hopefully competing for a deep playoff run, maybe even an NBA championship. Or the other route is just hit the full tank rebuild mode and kind of just start from scratch. And there's talks about Bam Adebayo potentially being on the trade block, guys like Andrew Wiggins. Right, there's several players and pieces that could yield a solid return for Miami. What is their market? What does it look like? I think that's kind of up for debate. I think there's questions about that. Bam Adebayo, I do think would give a pretty solid return. I think there are several teams that would love to bring in Bam Adebayo. His versatility, his defensive versatility, as well as his offensive versatility, right? He's not a guy that's like, this 30 and 15 guy, but he is, basically a 20 and 10 guy that can make plays and do a little bit of everything out there on the basketball court. It could be just a really solid all-star caliber type player that you could slot in to a roster that is already ready to maybe take some strides to contention. And then Andrew Wiggins gives you that 3-and-D, self-creating, create a little bit for others on any given night. Could be, your first, second best player randomly, right? Just go get you 30. Right? He's a guy that Andrew Wiggins has always kind of been an anomaly, right? Because there are moments where you're just like, yeah, now you see why he was the number one pick. And then there are moments where you're like, yeah, this guy's terrible, right? It's just really weird. He's probably best as your third or fourth guy. If you're relying on him to be your second or third, you're probably in trouble, but maybe as your third or fourth, right? Depending on who your first and second guy are, could make some sense. But Tyler, why are you talking about the Miami Heat? Because the Los Angeles Lakers are already being linked to the Miami Heat. And if guys like Andrew Wiggins and Bam Adebayo do become available for trade, or at least conversations get opened, right, and Miami starts fielding offers, the Lakers are expected to put in offers for both guys. Now, they wouldn't be able to go and get both guys because you're talking $70 million in salary, right? That would be pretty difficult to pull off. Now, again, if you trade Austin Reeves and everything, then yes, technically you could get there. But are the Lakers really going to do something like that? He's going into contract and $51 million, and then plus Andrew Wiggins making $20+ million, right? So it's just kind of you're talking again 75 million that you'd have to send out. It'd be incredibly complicated. Now you could argue, Andrew Wiggins, LeBron James, and Bam Adebayo, or Luka Doncic too. I think I didn't mention him. Those four, you kind of have your foundation. Dorian Finney-Smith, you probably would have to trade in that deal, right? So it's are those four good enough plus a bunch of vet minimum guys to go win you a championship? I don't know. Maybe, depends on kind of what version of Andrew Wiggins do you get. If you get that, hey, this guy could be, finals MVP, right? Like he was with the Warriors during that run, then yeah, maybe. But I think realistically, you're probably not looking at that. But I want to start with Andrew Wiggins, right? Because Andrew Wiggins, again, is making $26.2 million. This past season, he's going to be going into $28.2 million and then $30 million player option, which he's probably opting into. So he's going to be owed essentially just under $60 million over the next 2 years. And you'd have to send out $28 million, basically $29 million. Because remember, Lakers have to send out more than they take back because they're an apron team. So you're talking about sending out basically $29 million. So you're looking at essentially Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent just to go get Andrew Wiggins. Okay, is that worth Andrew Wiggins? I would love to have Andrew Wiggins. I think Andrew Wiggins would be great on this Lakers team. I think Andrew Wiggins could really do some damage and make some noise, right? He gives you that athleticism, gives you the rebounding, gives you the switchability on the defense side of things, gives you the switchability on the offense side of things, right? He's a very good basketball player, right? But I just think given, at $30 million a year, I just think there's other guys that can do a lot of the same things that you'd be looking for from Andrew Wiggins that wouldn't cost as much, at least financially, right? And might even cost as much, asset-wise to go and acquire, which I think would kind of put them in a weird spot as well, right? So I I'm not against Andrew Wiggins. If you could get him for the right price, then sure. But I just think given his salary and what he's going to be owed, I think the Lakers would be best kind of looking at the assets that they would have to allocate in order to acquire him, kind of using that to go elsewhere, personally. But what about Bam Adebayo, right? Now, Bam Adebayo, he is, again, all-star level talent, would immediately kind of help expedite the Lakers' defense and, rebounding and just getting versatility out there on the basketball court. You look at this past season, he averaged 18 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, which, again, guy that can do pretty much everything you could ask for out there. As far as being that big physical interior presence, it's not really that. He's 6'9", 7'1" wingspan. But he is a guy that, again, can put the ball on the deck, create for himself, create for others. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 this July, so he's on the right side of 30. Again, could be a nice little foundation piece for the foreseeable future. He's got some weight behind him at 255, so he's not like, 6'9", 225 or something like that, to where it's like he's just going to get bullied and pushed around. No, he can hang in on the inside and hang with the big boys. Again, he would be immediately the Lakers, third best player and a guy that could really make some noise. But again, I kind of default to with Bam Adebayo, the money in which he's getting and making, right? Like, is that really what you want to allocate your assets and resources and all the things that you'd have to put in order to acquire him, right? You talk about a guy that's going to be in the 50 millions, right? 60 million, and you're going to have him for multiple years. Now, you could argue that he's basically locked in. He's got his rate. He's got his salary, right? You kind of know what you need to do to kind of maneuver and finagle around that, right? Now, I've talked about, a Jaren Jackson Jr. It's a little different, right? Jaren Jackson Jr., he's a guy that is, one, younger, two, is a guy that, again, gives you that same level of defense, shot creation, whatnot. I also think he kind of gives you a little bit more of what you need from the Lakers, right? Like, or for the Lakers, I should say, right? Like, and on top of that, he's cheap for another year, right? Like, he's literally going to be making less than half of what Bam Adebayo would be making for that year, which, again, kind of gives you more time to figure out what you need to do. Plus, Jaren Jackson's new contract, right, shouldn't be, if I'm not mistaken, is a little less than Bam Adebayo's, right? But then, again, that gives you another year of like, okay, what does LeBron do? Does he retire? Because at that point, then you have Jaren Jackson kind of come in. Is Jaren Jackson and, Luka Doncic better than Bam Adebayo and Luka Doncic? I personally think so, right? Jaren Jackson just taller, longer, a little bigger, right? Like, I'd rather go that route if you're the Lakers. The other, kind of obvious one is, would Miami even trade those guys? Right? Pat Riley, be pretty petty, right? I don't think he wouldn't trade with the Lakers. I do think he would trade with the Lakers, but if the Lakers have LeBron James, would he trade with the Lakers? See, that's the difference, right? It's very different when LeBron James, because of the way that he kind of felt about the whole LeBron situation and whatnot. Now, you could argue, if Lakers offer and are willing to give up the best package to go and acquire Bam Adebayo, you want to take the best deal possible, right? And it'd be nice to kind of send him out west to where you don't have to see him as much in the east, and especially if you're rebuilding and whatnot, and kind of have to go through like the whole fan thing and stuff. So again, there's arguments to be made either way with a Bam Adebayo. Again, Lakers probably not going to get both of them. It kind of seems like it'd be one or the other, but both guys are guys that, one, fill a need, type of players Lakers would go after as far as like the names on the back of the jerseys and whatnot. And again, they are good players. Like, if you told me tomorrow the Lakers traded for Bam Adebayo, I'm not going to be like, oh man, what are the Lakers doing? Why are they being so Like, no, I'd be like, hey, you know what? That's huge for the Lakers, right? Like, that's something that could be really good. But like, where is Bam as far as the scaling goes, right? Like, is Bam with Luka enough of a 1-2 punch for you to win an NBA championship? For right now, you could argue, well, you have LeBron James, Bam, and Luka. So Bam as your third option, very different. But Again, how long is LeBron sticking around for, right? LeBron, if he plays another 4 years, then okay, like now you have those 3 guys for the next 4 years. But if he doesn't, and he only plays a year or 2 and then retires, well, then now you got 2+ years of Bam and Luka as like your kind of your main sole guys. That's it. Those are the only 2 guys that you got as your stars, and now you're moving forward with them, and you're kind of building around, putting the pieces around it. But to me, it's just like what you'd have again. Like I don't think the Lakers. If you could get like a Jaren Jackson Jr., it's different because he's cheap enough, and you'd only have to give up, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect probably for asset purposes, and then like a Maxi Kleber, right? Where like Bam Adebayo, you'd have to give up Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, right? Like it just starts stacking things. It's like, ugh, I think outside of that, I don't think the Lakers necessarily need this like super skilled center. Personally, I don't think that the Lakers like just go get that lob threat center, and I think you're fine. I think you're in good shape in that regard. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? And what are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of Bam Adebayo? Do you like the idea of Andrew Wiggins? Do you think like stay away from both of them? Do you think no, go get one or the other? However you feel, either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot as we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.